Hello, welcome to my school accounting software. My name is Ivan Zuko. I'm the business development manager for Smart Drive Software, Lagos, Nigeria. This is part two of the series that we're, dealing with school accounting. Now, let me say this. In part one, we have looked at how you can create students' information, link students' information to parents, how you can update, how you can create staff information. In part two here now, we want to continue from what we've done in part one. So please go to YouTube and search for my school accounting software part one if you have not watched part one, and look at this tool for what it does in part one. You will then be able to continue or appreciate what we're going to do in part two. So let's look at what we intend to cover in part two. Okay, so this part two now, we want to look at school fee template. Okay, want to teach you how you can use this tool to create and update school fee template. Remember, I have said earlier on in part one that we are basically looking at school fees. So you can use this for tertiary institution, you can use this for secondary school, you can use it for colleges, you can use it for polytechnic, you can use it for kindergarten, you can use it for any kind of school. The idea is to be able to use it to collect fees. So that's what this is meant for. It is not a school portal where you have exams, you have record, people are promoted from one. Our focus is on that. There are so many school portal out there in the market. Our focus area for this is just to focus and help school to manage a school account, collect school fee on behalf of the school. Okay, you don't need to appoint an agent to do this for you. You can buy this tool, subscribe to this tool, and use and collect fees. Okay, so that's what you're going to see here. So for this, we're going to cover school fee. In part two here, we're looking at school fee template. We're going to teach you how to create and update school fee template, assign a class to a template. Once you create a template, you can assign a class to that template. Okay, what do you mean by a template? A template is a name you create. Okay, once you create that name, you then can define items that makes up the school fee template, like what you call fee schedule, to say these are all the things SS1 will pay, these are all the things year one student will pay, these are all the things that people in the College of Medicine will pay in their year one first term. Okay, so that's what we call template. You create a template, and then you can then assign that template to a class. Okay, once you do that, you can then add students to the fee template. We're going to show you how you can add students to that fee template, and then once you finish creating and assigning, the next thing you'd like to do is to view. You want to check for SS1 first semester, what was the template for SS2, and these are the template that you can schedule, you can actually send to parents so they know what to pay. But the beauty about this system we're talking about is that for a parent that have 2 to 3 children, you can send them a fee schedule for all of them. Okay, and he knows the total to pay. If for people in SS1, they're paying maybe 200,000, and that same parent has a child in JS2 and they are paying say 80,000. So the total fee schedule, the parent, you'll be able to print out for this child in SS2, this is what he's supposed to pay, and this child in SS3 or JS2, this is what he's supposed to pay. Okay, and we're going to run a quick demo on that. Now, we're also going to try as much as possible to see how you can generate invoice for a class, and also you generate invoice for a student. We'll be able to view. Once you generate, you can be able to view, okay, invoice for a class and invoice for a student. And we'll teach you how to add an item to an invoice. Once the invoice is generated in a template, you can actually add an item for that invoice. So it is not static, it's not cast in stone. You can actually add more item to an invoice. Okay, you can apply a discount. We'll show you how you can define a discount. Things like scholarship are being treated in a system as a discount. Okay, so maybe a body awarded a scholarship for a student, and then you can apply that as a discount, okay, on the invoice. We'll teach you also how you can do invoice modification, how you can actually modify an invoice, okay? You can view and print. Let's hop into the system so that we now get into more practical session, okay? So let's see how we get into the system to do that. Some people, if I start there, they will ask me, how did you get there, okay? So let me log on, okay? Remember, we're doing part 2, okay? So we cover here student information update in part 1. Don't bother about business definition. This business definition is for people that are doing daily business analyzer with us. Okay. For instance, if you want to manage expenditure approval, group approval, you want to do impress account. These are other, we call it add-on to this account, the school portal, which also has to do with school finances. You can actually look, you want to do manage a bank operation. You want to track all checks that the school signed out to contractors that are working for the school, and all checks that are being received by the school. You can do all that here. Okay, we actually offer it as an add-on. So if you pay for it, then we add it to you, and then this button will become visible for you to be able to use. Okay, if you want to run a payroll from us, yes, this we add this. You pay more for it. Okay. All right. So let's now go to basic school definition. So let's start with defining a session. The very first thing you need to do is to start defining a session. Okay. 2021, 2022 session, 2020, 2021 academic session. So this is where you can define on and on and on. Okay. I can pick the one that I've defined before, 2022. I can say, okay, the next session here, maybe we're in 2021 or 22 to 2023 academic session. You can actually type this with slashes and the system will allow you, and you say save. So I've created a new session, academic session now. So you start collecting fee from academic session by defining academic session, and then every term will be tied to academic session. Every semester will be tied to academic session. That's how the fees are collected. We have also broken this into, the next thing I want to talk about is schools. Okay, for tertiary institution, you could have school. All right. So the first thing you need to do to be able to tie the academic session, okay, to a school, you can take 2020, 21 because this is the one we're actually looking at for this sample data that we've done. This is for a senior secondary school. So you have different schools here. All right. Let me enlarge the screen so you can see more. We have a junior school attached here. We have, for this academic session, we have nursery school, you have primary school, you have senior school. Again, it's attached to this academic session. We will nosedive this slice this into a term, and of course, we will slice this into classes. So you then have a stream of fees to collect, okay? And then invoice will then be tied to that. So you can see how we slice down until you get to actual people. So you know, you can then keep track of a child that is in first term, in second term, first semester, first term, second term, third term. You can track all the fees and collect them. Okay. So this is how to define a school. All that you need to do is to type a school name here. All right. So that's how to you define a school. All right. Next, we want to talk about classes. All right. So you can actually pick a school session. Okay. So you now pick a junior school and then you put the class. If we have another class attached here, you can put the class. If it is, you pick maybe University of Lagos, academic 2021, 2020, 2021, maybe it's in a tertiary institution, maybe University of Lagos or University of Liverpool. You can then pick a school of college of, or school of medicine or college of medicine, first semester, okay? And then you put the class here, okay? All right. So if it's a junior school, or sorry, it's a college, or maybe a, a, um, a senior school, you can actually put a class. So if I pick nursery school here, I'll be able to define the classes for nursery school, nursery 1A. Some don't have, just have nursery A, nursery B. So you just define because again, you're going to populate people in each of these classes, okay, and then we'll collect fees from individual students, okay. Okay, let's move on. So the next thing we want to talk about is, define each item. So what is going to make the item in the school fee schedule? That's the next thing we want to discuss. Okay, we call that product and service item. All right. So I have a blazer, I have a development fee, I have excursion, I have games. Maybe say late entry or late fee payment for school that collect late fee payment. Okay, let's just find something and add late fees payment. Okay, this will um, later we're going to discuss how you can add something to an item. We can build a schedule for a particular class, and maybe this is an item that is not part of it. And then people that come to pay beyond a specific date that the school had set, they will then have to pay the fee, late pay fee payment can be applied. So you just open that student invoice and apply late fee payment for him. So you now have it as an item. Okay, you might not put in a schedule. It might be applied as the school term runs or the school semester, runs. There are people that didn't even pay for that semester. If they want to pay first semester or first term fees in second term, maybe the school said we're going to charge a certain amount as late fee payment. So that item is there. So you can define all the items school will use in collecting money, and you define that once that will make up a fee schedule. Okay, so that's what that module does. The next thing is you define your discount item. All right. Discount item are items that will be subtracted from all the items that will be subtracted from the fee schedule. All right, we treat it as a discount. Okay, so 2020-2021 academic session, I've already defined two items here. So you pick for a session, you pick for a class. Definitely, class will be different. Fees for different classes. You pick the term. Once you have specified where this will be applied to, and then you define an item. Okay, so you have here a scholarship item, maybe for books. For instance, here there is a SS2 here. There is a scholarship item here for SS2. Bodies offering 100,000 naira. There may be bodies that come to school and said we will pay for all science students. We'll give them a scholarship worth of 150,000 naira. If the school fee, okay, is 200,000, it means the system will apply 150 as a discount and 50,000 naira will be paid by the parents. Whoever that sponsors that child, the system will be able to do that. Okay. For instance, also you could have a fees in terms of what is this for? This is for school for books. Okay, scholarship for books. Maybe a body or the school said, okay, we will offer 5,000 naira for textbook for a particular class. All right, so you can actually define that as an item. So it will only apply to that class. Okay, it's not for item for school fees across board, but you can define things, uniquely for a class or for the school. For instance, we say tuition fee will apply for everybody. Okay, all right. So we close. Let's quickly move to the next section, next module. So the next thing we want to do is want to create a school fee schedule. Okay. So the first thing we do, you pick a session, tell the student which session you want to create a fee template for. All right. Maybe I want to do for SS a senior secondary. Maybe I want to do for SS2, and then for first term. Okay. If you notice here, look, once you pick all this and say generate, look at the template name. Okay, this template name will be used to create invoices. That's the idea of this template name. So I've generated template name for SS2 first term template. This is, so all the fees we are going to add here is what they are going to be paying, okay, for first term for people in SS2. Now notice that our system capture whoever that enter things into the system. Okay, so this was done by system administrator, smart drive admin, and then the entry date and time. So every time we enter data into the system, it will be captured. All right. So Then you begin to, for this particular item, you begin to add things into this item, okay? You begin to look at the product here. So you begin to add each of these, all right? So let me attempt to do that. Okay, so you pick the session, you pick the school, you pick SS2, you pick the academic session, and you see we've already added all these items. Okay, notice that the late fee payment is not here. When we're creating invoice, I will show you how you can apply that, and then the system tells us this is what in your school you call fee schedule. Okay, total fee schedule here for SS2 they are going to pay 215,000 naira for first term. This is what they're going to pay. Now you build this schedule again for second term for SS2. When it comes to third term, you do. The reason we don't build a standard concrete template from first term, second term, third term, because there are people in certain classes, for instance, people in SS3, they will not pay fees in they will not pay fees in the third term. Third term, they probably would not be in school. And people in the JS junior secondary 3 in third term, probably they would have taken the exams and they're out of school. So you need to build template based as they apply to each of the classes. All right, and then the beauty about this system is that we can actually create a template for one class and duplicate that template and generate another one. So once you do one, you can use and do another one. Okay. All right. So let's quickly then move to the next item. So you build a template. So this is what they're supposed to pay. Okay. So the next thing we want to talk about is, sorry, let me see. It's like I have actually jumped something. Okay, I've talked about this and create a template, change fee schedule category. Okay, now when you create a template, you need to tell us in each of those items, you need to tell us what are the mandatory things and what are the optional things. There are certain things that are optional for a class. Maybe a child is in SS2, he doesn't need to buy blesser, okay, but for that term. So that becomes an optional for that uh, for that term, okay. So those will become optional item. So you now have all the product here. You come here and pick a particular item, school fee, okay, and then you now come here and say mandatory, okay, and then you say execute. So if I execute this now, it's already been done, it's mandatory already. I could say Blazor is now the optional for SS2. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's a school fee section that I changed, not Blazor. So you've noticed here now, the school fee, I've actually changed the school fee term now to be optional. And God forbid we don't do this, okay? So pick school fee again. School fee is mandatory. Okay, so change it to mandatory. So it's mandatory. If it is Blazor that you want to change, you come here and pick Blazor. And then all the things we build in this schedule, they are not cast and stone. You can actually change and say execute change. So you see now that there are two items there that the parents are not supposed to pay. When you are creating an invoice now, the parents, when you send this to schedule to a parent, they will now select what they want to pay, whether they want to pay for Blazor or SS2 or whether they want to pay for school bus. So these are optional items. But the ones that are mandatory, they definitely have to pay for that particular schedule. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so here this is where you define the different banks that the school has. All right. So the next thing we want to do now is to quickly view, the schedule, and then we can assign that schedule to a class. We just created a fee schedule. We can assign it to a class, okay? And then we can also assign students to it. Let's even view what we've done. So if you want to check you want to check what a particular class will pay, what the fee schedule is, you can come here and then you can even download it and send to the parent. So we pick a senior secondary, okay, and then we pick SS2. We've created template for SS2, and you pick and you say view template. So that's the template that I showed you earlier to create. So Blazor is optional, and and uh, and school bus is optional. You can also change the textbook. Maybe it's a school, they made a decision that parents can also buy textbook for their children. So you can make it optional. So it means that when you print this and send to the parent, they didn't know what are the mandatory things that they have to pay for, okay, and what are the optional things. So when you get a bulk money, you then will be able to know what they've actually paid for, okay. Um, Here we actually can, check, when we assign a student to a class, we can actually view what we actually did, okay? So you don't need to go to the module that we were building it again in the definition. You quickly can do a view, all right? So we can pick this and then SS2 and say fee template and click on view. So you see now that this has been applied to everybody in SS2. So we have two people in SS2 here. We have Miriam and we have Usman. They're in SS2 first term. They are the people that in their class. This data was entered by Suleiman Lawa, and this is the time the data was entered. And then you then have academic section first term. You have academic section, you have the term template, okay. So this is for first term. These are all the people that are here, okay, in this class. Okay, let's then finally in this path see how you can assign a class to a template, okay. So first you create the template, and you pick a school. Once you create a template, SS2, you now pick this that we created, the template, and pick the name of the template, and you say assign to a fee template to a class. So you now have a class you assign. Everybody in this class, if there are 50 people will then have to pay that fee schedule of 215,000 naira for SS2. For JS3, you could have different module for different classes. This is how this is being built up. When we've built all this up, the next thing we want to do is to now go to invoicing, okay? Okay, so I didn't talk about add a new student. For instance, if we have a template that we've created for SS2, okay, let's quickly demonstrate this. And then you have somebody who joined SS2 and is not among the people that I showed you, okay? This is a template. For instance, I have Bolton. Let's look at A, if we can add people to SS2 quickly here now. So we have all the Abraham Kunle, maybe it's in SS2, okay, so we can add Abraham to this template. So there are now 4, okay. So I can also add Bonnie Mark to SS2. Bonnie Mark. Okay, so we select the template for SS2. Remember, this is template for SS2 we created. So you now come and say Bonnie Mark. Remember, there were 2 in that class before of add. So all these people now, 4 of them will be when we check their fee schedule now in Invoice, we're going to see that all of them, these 4 people, are going to pay the same thing because they are in SS2. Okay, let's quickly go and view that. Okay, so when we come here, we now view invoice for each of the students. Okay, what they are supposed to pay. So 2020-21. Let's go to SS2 with senior secondary, view invoice. Okay, so these are all the invoice we have created for SS2. Okay, and these are the schedule that we have done for everybody: tuition fee, games fee, textbook. You notice that the late entry is not here, and we can add that later. Okay, so this is for Miriam, and this is for Usman that we did. Remember, the 2 people we just added have not been added yet to this invoice, and that's what we want to go and do now. Okay, all right. So let's go and add students. Those students that we brought into those classes, you now come and generate invoice for them. Okay. We will treat invoice and payment in the next part. So join me in next part 3. We'll talk fully about invoice, how you can manipulate invoice, change invoice, how you can apply discount, and then we'll talk about payment and how you can collect invoice. Thank you so much for joining me in this session. I want to say that if you're interested in buying this application, this is the contact. Call me, WhatsApp me, or call me in this number, or you can send me a text. And you can also go to our site, www.odunigeria.com. You'll be able to have more detail about this accounting software. I'll see you in part 3. Thank you.